And I'm Mr. Delcher.
Today we will be discussing different ways to make eggs. I'm going to make an omelet. We're going to make some deviled eggs, poached eggs with a hollandaise sauce, and anything else. And we're going to discuss we're going to discuss eggs as well in general. So, Mr. Delcher, since you are the animal science expert,
Well, thank you.
this is going to be an excellent day, by the way.
Yes, an excellent day.
Yes. Okay, so I have a white egg and I have a brown egg.
Okay.
Can you please tell me what is the difference of these two eggs?
Well, the difference between these two eggs, Mr. Bone, is that the white egg and the brown egg come from different types of different breeds of chickens. Some chickens produce white eggs, some produce brown eggs, some produce, this is actually a really dark brown egg, but there's actually more that are more like tan. There's even some that produce like a blue-green egg. So there are a lot of different chickens that produce a lot of different color eggs. But a lot of the times, people think that they are, different because they've been, raised differently, or they might taste differently. There's really no scientific proof about the nutritional difference between a brown egg and a white egg. It's really, they're really the same nutritional value.
Okay, so why when I go to the store is the brown eggs always more expensive than the white eggs?
That's basically a ploy that some egg people have gotten into that try to get more money out of us. Saying that this is a brown egg is organic or it's farm raised,
right,
or it's like field grown eggs. It's really, I could have a white egg and be able to say the same thing, that it's organic and it's pasture raised, and I can also have the brown egg and say the same thing.
I see. When a chicken produces an egg, at what age does that chicken begin to produce eggs? And also, when the chicken produces these eggs, do they come out all nice and white and shiny like that, or is there a process in which we polish them or something?
So the eggs, usually they come out, they might still have some stuff from, again, it's like dropping a baby. There's going to be some stuff on the outside. They're going to lay in a nest that the chicken produces. So, they're going to have to, a lot of the times these are cleaned and pasteurized, basically meaning that they've been sprayed with like warm water to make sure or remove any bacteria off the outside and cleaned. But it takes a chicken about 6 months until it is a fully matured chicken. So it goes from being a chick to growing up and becoming a teenage chicken and becomes a mature chicken. And that usually takes about 6 months, and in about 6 months it'll start producing an egg. And usually most chickens produce one to maybe one egg a day, or one egg every other day, depending on its what nutrition it gets and what kind of breed of chicken it is. So.
I see. And before we start cooking, one more question. During the course of the year, do the chickens produce more eggs during the warm weather, cold weather, or it doesn't really matter?
A lot of the times they produce more eggs during the warmer weather. Cooler temperatures, during the winter time, they'll still produce an egg. They might not produce it as often because they're using a lot of their energy to keep warm. Especially in our area where a lot of eggs are produced here in New Jersey. Delaware, a lot of egg production is produced in Delaware and Pennsylvania. So a lot of, that's where, so a lot of in the eastern states. So they're trying to keep warm during the winter months.
I see. I have one more question as well.
Sure.
sometimes when we're in school, kids or other faculty members will crack open an egg, and there'll be like a little spot of almost looks like a blood spot.
Mm-hmm.
What is that, and is it safe to eat?
It's absolutely safe to eat. Sometimes, as the egg is developing, so the egg, it starts off just as we talk about animal reproduction. You know, the egg comes out of the ovary and moves through the tube inside the chicken. But as it's moving along inside the chicken, it starts to get the eggshell starts to develop around it before it's released. During that time, probably close to where the yolk gets released from the ovary. Usually, there's sometimes you could have a little bit of blood that gets in and kind of follows along with the egg as it develops.
I see. Okay. Okay, we'll be back in a few minutes with our cooking demonstrations. Welcome back. The first thing that I'm going to demonstrate today is a very simple cheese omelet, all right? There are two types of omelets, basically. There's the French omelet and there's an American omelet. The main difference between the two types of omelets is the French omelet is rolled into a cylinder cigar shape, and the American omelet, which most of us have had at diners and restaurants, is simply folded in half. It's a little bit more golden brown in color. The French omelet is more of a pale yellowish color, and again, it's cylinder in shape. All right, so I'm going to turn my gas on to I would say medium high heat, medium low heat, about medium heat. Okay, crack my eggs. And again, when I crack the eggs, I recommend cracking them over, instead of cracking them on the side of the bowl, I usually crack them over here on the side, or because of the fact that if I crack it like this, the tendency of a shell may go into your bowl. Okay? I crack my eggs. All right, my pan is heating up. I'm going to add about half a tablespoon of butter. If you don't want to use butter, you can use vegetable oil. You can also use coconut oil, depending on, if you want to keep it a little bit on the healthier side. All right, I'm going to put that into my pan and move my pan around. Okay. Then I'm going to start to whisk my eggs. Whisk means I'm going to aerate them. I'm going to add the air because I want my eggs to be light and fluffier. All right. Before I start whisking the eggs, though, I'm going to add a little bit of water. Okay. This also helps make the eggs a little bit more lighter and fluffier as well. All right. The same thing as if I was using a whisk. I'm taking my fork and you can see the color is changing. It's becoming more of a pale yellowish color. Okay, and that looks just about ready. All right. Make sure you have enough fat substance in your pan, because otherwise your egg is going to stick to the pan and it's going to be difficult to get out. These are all non-stick pans. It has a coating on it. I do not use metal on these pans because otherwise they get scratched and the coating will begin to wear off. Much easier making an omelet and doing sautéing items in a hot pan. That's non-stick, as opposed to a pan such as this over here. This is not a non-stick pot over here. All right, so
Mr. Bone,
yes, Mr. Delcher.
Is this the same technique that you would do if I was trying to make just scrambled eggs? So?
Yes, it is. Except the one of the folding part is different, and what I'm about to demonstrate is a little bit different, but the technique is very similar.
Okay.
Heat up your pan, add your fat, wait till the heat. You don't want to brown your butter, so this is ready. This is ready right now. And when I add the egg to the pan, you want to hear it kind of crackle a little bit. Okay? Most eggs that when we order an omelet at a restaurant, usually the omelet consists of probably 3 eggs. The average egg is contains about 2 ounces of. An average large egg is about 2 ounces in size. Okay, so why is this important? Let's say you're doing a big party or something like that, and everybody's going to have, 4 ounces of eggs or a half a cup of eggs. You need to know how much is in each egg, how many ounces are in each egg in order to make a proper assessment. All right, so what you want to do is you want to push it in and fill it in. Push it in and fill it in. Okay? Push and fill. All right? Until it starts to set, and then you don't want to do it anymore, otherwise you're going to have a hole in your omelet. See, that's just about ready. All right? As you can see, it's solidifying on the outside. It's a little moist on the inside still. This is the time where I would add my filling. I'm adding basically, this is nothing more than a cheddar cheese filling. You put it on one side of the omelet. Okay? You take your rubber spatula. You want to grasp your hand onto the handle, wiggle that spatula underneath, and fold it in half, like that. Okay? And as you can see, nice golden brown color. Okay? I'm going to let that cook for probably another minute or so. I want my cheese to melt. I want my eggs to finish cooking inside. Okay, not sticking to the pan. So as you can see, the reason why we add the fat is because we do not want to see that stuck to the pan. It makes it very difficult to get out and difficult to get onto the plate. All right, so before I put it onto the plate, I'm going to give it a little flip. If you can't do this by flipping it like I do, you can take your spatula and just use your spatula and flip it over. Okay, there you see the nice golden brown color. Shut off my gas, and I'm going to slide that out onto the plate. Okay, and as you can see, a 2-egg cheese omelet. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes with our second demonstration. Yes. Okay, and we are back. Next, we will be making deviled eggs. Okay, it's one of the things that my family likes to eat during Easter. Easter is this Sunday, so I'm going to demonstrate on how to make homemade deviled eggs. All right, so I'm going to bring the camera over here. The first thing I did is I boiled my eggs for approximately 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, to the water I added some baking soda. All right, I added a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda to about, I would say, about a quart of water. The water should be a little bit below it should just about cover the egg, but the egg should be out a little bit on top of the water. All right, like so. So what does the baking soda do to the egg? It makes the shell come off easier. Okay. Another way to get the shell off easier as well is you take your eggs and you're going to put them in a ice water bath, okay, which I have right over here. So an ice water bath is nothing more than ice cubes and water. All right, ice water baths can be used to if you have a large pot like this, and I wanted of soup, and I wanted to cool this off. I could put ice, clean up my sink. I could put an ice water bath in my sink, and I could set this in there. And you want to get that out of the danger zone as quickly as possible, so that's why we use an ice water bath. All right, so using a pair of tongs, I want to grab my eggs and put them into the ice water bath. Okay, this recipe calls for 6 eggs. Mr. Delcher, you had a question before in regards to seasoning eggs.
Yes, Mr. Boone. Why, when you did the scrambling or even the omelet, how come you didn't use salt and pepper?
How come I didn't use salt and pepper?
And
right?
I was also looking at some of the other egg recipes we're doing today, and they also don't call for use of salt and pepper.
Okay. A lot of times when I see students make eggs in school, for breakfast, or if they're they forget to bring their lunch, some of the culinary students will ask me, can I make some eggs? And I always notice how they season their eggs before they serve them, right? If they're making a large batch of eggs for the entire class, maybe the class is comprised of 10 to 12 students, most of the times when I see the kids make the eggs, they'll pre-season them, all right? We have, any restaurant you go to, Mr. Delcher, what do they usually have at that table?
Salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper. So, as a chef, I don't season my eggs. I have the customer season them because some people may not like the salt. Some people may like salt and pepper. Some people may just like pepper. All right. So I recommend not seasoning your eggs because of the fact that that's the preference of the person that's eating them.
Understand.
Okay. All right. So eggs are in the ice bath. I'm going to take them out and I'm going to crack the shell off. Okay. When you get done cracking the shell off, make sure that you remove the shells from your cutting board, your work area, because you do not want your shells to go into your deviled eggs or any other kind of eggs. And you can see how nice and easy that shell is coming off. Okay? Another thing I do is after I take the shell off, I like to either run cold water over the egg, or I want to dip them in the water to make sure that I'm removing all the little pieces of shell before I serve them. So there's one. You want to stop for a minute?
You want me to?
As you can see, all the eggs are peeled. Came off the shell. The shell came off very nicely. Easily came off. So I would recommend using the baking soda, putting them in the ice bath. All right. So the next thing you want to do is you want to take your egg and you want to cut them in half. Okay. And then we want to take out the yolk or the yellow part. All right. I have this little egg tray here that we usually use at Easter time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my yolk in here, pop the yolk out, try to keep the white intact. All right, we're going to lay them into the shell, like into these little spots like that. Okay.
Now you're cutting them long ways. So?
Lengthwise, right? Yeah. All right. So, I mean, although this doesn't look like a lot of product that's going to go back, this product is going to go back in here. We're almost making almost similar to egg salad, but we're not using the white part. All right. So we cut all the eggs. Speed this up a little bit.
We'll have to make an egg salad video when we get closer to the summertime, Mr. Bone.
That would be good. That would be good. I'm a big egg salad fan. If the egg does have a tear in it, you know, I try to use it. If it's really torn, and you may not use it at all, but you can still use the yolk, of course. Okay, so there you see. I mean, I'm not going to fill up the whole container. See, this one has a little tear in it, but I think we're going to try to save it. Put it in like that. Okay, so all the yolks have been removed, and we have the bottom parts, or the white, is in the containers. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our mixture. Okay, so 6 large eggs, 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Okay, I have my mayonnaise right here, and I'm going to add that into my bowl. Okay, next ingredient calls for 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Okay, 1 teaspoon of Dijon mustard is approximately about a pack. Okay, squeeze that in. Rinse off my hands. Okay, then we have 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Okay, went a little over there, so I put a little less in my bowl because I went a little overboard with the amount of vinegar in my teaspoon. All right, apple cider vinegar, and finally a little bit of salt and pepper to taste. I'm going to add that in at the end. Okay, now a couple different ways you can mix these. The best way and the best way to aerate them would be to use a hand blender. Okay, so.
What kind of hand blender is that, Mr. Bone? You have any recommendations on hand blenders?
This is a KitchenAid. I like the KitchenAid. I've had it for quite a number of years. You know, I know they have ones that you can buy at the grocery store that, you know, normally they don't last very long, but I guess it all depends how frequently you use it. I mean, there are ones that are of commercial quality. This one I've had for, yeah, I would say at least 5 years now, and my wife does a lot of baking and stuff like that, so we do use this quite often. So I'm at 5 right now. I'm up to 7. And I want to break up all that yolk. Actually, I'm going to add a little bit more mayonnaise to this because I want it to be a little bit more fluffier. So, although it called for 3 tablespoons, I think we're going to add 4. All right, Mr. Delcher, you want to zoom in on that so you can see? I think the consistency is a little too dense, so we're going to make it a little bit lighter by adding a little bit more mayonnaise. Okay, turn it back on. This would be served as an appetizer. You can serve this before you have your main course. Some people add pickle relish. You can also add pickle relish to it as well. Okay, so that is done.
I know my grandma usually tops them with once she gets it all finished, she tops them with a piece of olive.
Oh yeah.
As like a little garnish.
Some people also use capers.
Ah, yes.
The filling process, okay? I do not have a piping bag with me. I have a tip, but I don't have a bag. So I'm going to show you a couple different methods you can use. This is my wife's little Pampered Chef gadget here. All right, if you do not have one of these, please don't worry. This is more for decorative purposes. Let me show you how to use this first. All right, so you take a spoon and you fill the container. You fill the cylinder up, similar to if you were filling up a piping bag. Okay, I'm just going to use a little bit here because I want to demonstrate another way to do this. All right, you wipe that off. You put the cap on, and it has like a plunger. So what you want to do is you want to lock it in, and then you want to squeeze out all the air. Similar to what you would do. There we go. All right, so you want to squeeze out all the air. Okay. So if I was doing a larger quantity, or if I wanted to, to do this, for more than, just as demonstration purposes, this cylinder would be entirely filled. All right. So the same method that you would use a piping bag, I'm going to squeeze, and I'm going to move it around. And there you go. Okay. Once you fill the yolk, a mixture back into the white, what you can do is you can take a little bit of paprika, and sprinkle a little bit over. Do this before you serve it, otherwise the redness of the paprika will bleed into the egg, and you want to do this right before you serve it. And there you go. You have a deviled egg. Okay. So once you get going, they don't take very long to do. All right. So again, sprinkle a little paprika.
And as Mr. Boone and I were just discussing, you could also garnish, people put other garnishes on top of the eggs as well, like capers or olives. So.
Correct. One of the things that I didn't do is I didn't put any salt and pepper in, and again, maybe you want to have the person do that. This type of egg that I'm serving, you probably want to add your seasoning, the salt and pepper to this before you served it. So just keep that in mind. If you want to add salt and pepper to your egg mixture, you should do that before you fill them into the cylinder, fill them into a piping bag. And the other method I'm going to show you is very simply just using a Ziploc bag. All right, let me get this out of the way. So we're going to take our egg mixture and I'm going to put it into my Ziploc bag, and almost everybody has these in their homes. So very simple to use. If you don't have a piping bag, if you don't have a gadget like that, all right, what you want to do is you want to cut off one of the corners like that. And again, squeeze out all the air. And similar to a piping bag, you're going to squeeze it in like that. And as you can see, it's not as decorative by far, but you come out, with the same product, with the product tasting exactly the same. All right? Okay, again, a little bit of paprika. Okay, and there you have it. Deviled eggs. Welcome back, guys. Next thing we're going to talk about, I'm going to make is one of the 5 mother sauces. We talked about mother sauces a few weeks ago, made velouté sauce, which was actually a lemon velouté used for the chicken francaise. This is one of the 5 mother sauces. It's a very traditional sauce, very fattening, French originated. This is called hollandaise sauce, okay? Most commonly, hollandaise sauce is used for eggs Benedict. So we're going to do a little spin-off of eggs Benedict today, but instead of using Canadian bacon, we're just going to use the English muffin, a poached egg, and the hollandaise sauce. All right? Traditional hollandaise is made by taking your egg yolks. Okay, and I separated my whites from my yolks already. If you want to use your whites, I mean, some people prefer to use the whites because this is where the fat is located. The fat in the egg is located in the yolk. If you want to save your whites, you can make an omelet out of it. You could use it for baking purposes. But let's get back to the traditional recipe method. All right, you take your egg yolks. All right, you would put these into a bowl, into a stainless steel bowl, and then you would drizzle in. Actually, the next thing you would do is you would add some lemon juice, something acidic, lemon juice. You could use a little bit of vinegar. And then you would slowly drizzle in melted butter. Actually, melted butter, I should say clarified butter. That's the traditional way to make it. So what is clarified butter? Okay, butter contains milk product. Okay, there's a percentage of milk and fat in the butter. Okay, so when we talk about clarified butter, you're removing the milk product out of the butter, and you're left with only the fat. Traditionally, that's how hollandaise is made. Okay, and you would stand over the bowl and you would whisk in and drizzle and whisk at the same time. Very similar in the way in which you make homemade mayonnaise. All right, so this is the version of hollandaise, but it's using the blender, which is a lot more easier, okay, to do. So I have my blender over here. I have all my mise en place set up already. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my egg yolks to my blender. Okay, and this is 3 egg yolks. Okay, add those in. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my butter and I'm going to put it in the microwave, probably for about a minute. Okay, while that is melting, the next thing I'm going to take is a 1/4 teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I use Golden's mustard. All right. Get that in there, and because we're making very little amount, I want to probably try to push that down a little bit so I make sure that gets into our sauce. Okay, then we're going to take fresh lemon. We talked about this in the past. Fresh lemon as compared to store-bought lemon juice. This gives it a better flavor, all natural. Okay, cut it in half. Okay, I have this little strainer. I'm going to squeeze the juice out of the lemon and collect the seeds in the strainer. Okay, I'm just going to use a half just for demonstration purposes. And the amount of lemon juice that we need is 1 tablespoon. Okay, so I take my tablespoon right here. Okay, 1 tablespoon in. Okay, you just heard the beep. So the butter is ready. Okay. So again, if I was making a traditional hollandaise, I would again warm up my butter, and I would whisk. First, I would whisk my eggs and my acid, and then I would slowly drizzle this in. If you add it too fast, you have the potential to break your hollandaise. That's why it's much easier to make it in the blender, because it doesn't really break as easily as it would if you were going to make this using a whisk. All right. So the next thing you want to do is put your cover on, and you want to try to aerate those egg yolks. Okay, so as you can see, let's looking at Mr. Delcher? As you can see, the egg yolks are turning a lighter yellow color. All right, I'm going to put my lid back on, and now we're going to incorporate the butter. Slow, steady stream. Okay, and there you have hollandaise sauce. Very easy. The only thing you'll have to do is season it with a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay, a little salt. I don't have any black pepper. I don't have any white pepper. I'm going to use a little bit of black pepper, but white pepper would be. I would as a chef, I would prefer to use the white pepper because you won't see the specks in your hollandaise. Okay, a little sprinkle of white pepper. When you are seasoning salt and pepper, normally the ratio is 2 parts of salt to 1 part of pepper. All right, so let me just give that another little whirl here.
Mr. Bone, I also hear that sometimes people put a little like red pepper sauce, like Tabasco, in it. What does that do to the hollandaise?
Very good, Mr. Delcher. Red pepper sauce. Good thing you mentioned it. I almost forgot it.
Give it a little kick.
Yes, yes. You want to give it a little kick.
I love a little kick.
In the afternoon?
In the afternoon, no?
Okay. All right. I'm going to use a little bit of Frank's hot red pepper sauce. I don't have Tabasco, but it's very similar.
Bam.
Okay. Turn on, put my cap on.
It's right there.
Turn on my blender. All right. And there you have it. Blender hollandaise. All right. Now, I'm going to take this out and I'm going to put it in a container. All right, and you can see the little bit of black specks. That's why I would normally use white pepper. All right, now you see those little black specks in there, and but it's okay. I mean, tastes the same. All right, so I'm putting this into a container and I'm going to put a lid on it. And I didn't poach my eggs yet, but I want this container. I want this to remain warm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my container and I'm going to float it in water because, Mr. Delcher, what is the danger zone?
41 to 135.
Excellent. 41 to 135. If I leave this out on the counter, I'm going to be in the danger zone. And we don't want our product to be in the danger zone. So that's why we're leaving it in water, not even simmering. Mr. Delcher, you want to bring your video camera over here? You can see I'm getting a little bit of steam out. I got my gas on low. And I just want to keep my hollandaise sauce warm because I don't want it to be in the danger zone. All right? So we're gonna stop the video for a second and I'm gonna explain how to make the poached eggs. In the meantime, the hollandaise is gonna stay nice and warm in here, which is out of the danger zone. Okay, so we will be right back. And we are back for the final session. Poached eggs. What I want to talk about is first of all the poaching water. Okay, this water is right below the boiling point. You can see the steam coming up. All right. So if I were to test this water, when water simmers is approximately 185 degrees, and as we all know, water boils at 212. Okay? When making poached eggs, what you want to do is you want to take a little bit of vinegar. I have apple cider vinegar. Plain vinegar is fine. You can use red wine vinegar. What does the vinegar do when you add the egg? When you add the egg to the liquid, okay? It makes the egg white come together and form a nice poached egg. Right? If you do not put the vinegar in, it causes it to spread out, and it doesn't have that nice shape, and makes it look good on a English muffin, as we have over here. All right, so I'm going to take, I would say maybe a tablespoon. I'm going to use about a capful of vinegar. All right, put that into my poaching liquid. Okay, turn up my heat a little bit. The eggs are when you add the eggs to the poaching liquid, you want to Again, crack them on the side. And you want to drop them in. Again, don't drop them from high, almost like similar when you're frying something, all right? If I'm frying off a piece of chicken or a piece of fish, I don't want to come up high, because what's going to happen is when that hits the liquid or the oil, it's going to splash up on you and you're going to burn your hands, and you could even burn your face. All right, so I'm going to get as close as I can to the liquid, and I'm going to drop the egg in. Okay, same thing with the next one. Okay, as you can see, the white is starting to change color. It's coming together. Slide it in. Okay, and this is going to take probably about 3 minutes in order for it to be done. All right. When you remove the egg, and we're going to do that in a couple of minutes, what you want to do is you want to make sure you use a slotted spoon, because if I use a spoon that was like this, the liquid would go from the spoon, the liquid with my egg on it would go from the spoon and would end up on my English muffin, and of course it would make the English muffin soggy. All right, so I want to loosen up the egg a little bit from the bottom of the pan. Alright, and as you can see, it's starting to come together. See the little bubbles on the bottom? Alright, so we're right at the simmering point. Okay, so at this point I'm going to take my hollandaise out of the liquid. Okay, not in the danger zone like I was talking about before. Put that off to the side. I'm going to get a spoon. Excuse me. Alright, so English muffin has already been toasted. Alright, a traditional Eggs Benedict contains an English muffin, a piece of Canadian bacon, cooked Canadian bacon of course, a poached egg, finished with hollandaise. We're going to do a little bit of spin-off of that. Instead of using the Canadian bacon, we're going to use some fresh avocado. So I'm going to put that on next. See, the hollandaise has a nice creamy consistency. If this were a little too thick, or if it did get a little too thick, you could always add a few droplets of water, hot water of course, because you want to, again, be out of the danger zone. Alright, and we're going to drizzle this over the eggs once the eggs are done cooking. Alright, so here we have our eggs, and they're just starting to float up to the top. Alright, I'm going to lower it down a little bit, because as you can see, it's starting to boil. Alright, I grab my slotted spoon. Alright, and I want to check my eggs to see how they're. Alright, that one needs a couple more minutes, maybe another minute or so. Alright, and this one looks like it's just about done. Alright, when I was working at a restaurant years ago, we would have a pot on the stove similar to this, but larger of course. And you could reuse this poaching liquid over and over again. I mean, you might have to skim out some of the white part here that's falling off the egg. Alright, so, okay, the first egg is now ready. I want to slide my slotted spoon underneath, and I want to make sure I pick it up, and I want to drain off the water, the excess water, okay? Bring that over to my English muffin with the hollandaise, and gently place it over the top. As you can see, when I touch the egg, I can feel the yolk. The yolk is going to be runny, and that's what you're looking for. Okay? Take my hollandaise sauce, and I'm going to drizzle that over the top. Okay? And we're going to finish it with a little bit of fresh parsley.
I love fresh parsley.
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon, no?
Alright, let me grab the other one. Okay, same thing. Put the egg in the middle. Okay, yolk is still runny. The hollandaise on top. And a little bit of fresh parsley. Mr. Delcher, before we conclude, let's cut into one of the eggs to show everybody what it looks like when the egg is properly cooked. Alright? Okay, as you can see, the yolk is running out. Alright, that's the consistency you want to be looking for. if you overcook the egg is gonna not have that yolk consistency, and it's gonna be almost like a hard-boiled egg. This concludes our videos. Mr. Delcher and I would like to wish everyone a happy Passover, happy Easter. Mr. Delcher, anything? Would you like to say anything?
Happy Easter, happy Passover, and soon Ramadan as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And enjoy your vacation.